I'm excited today to test the final slot in my minimal bag, and we'll be testing the Overstable driver slot. I've got 4 discs here that I'm excited to try out and see if I can select one that meets my needs for that Overstable driver slot. For me, that means it's a disc that I can throw at least 275 plus and reliably have that fade either right or left depending on forehand or backhand. So we'll be testing all these discs on a hole where I'll be throwing to a basket 275 feet away, and we'll see how close to that basket I can get. We will also be testing these discs by throwing them from the top of my hill all the way down to the bottom with a lot of airspace below them, just to see how far they want to go given that amount of airspace. How hard will they fade? What will they do? And then at the end, I will select my preferred disc. So, what disc do we have? We've got the MVP Resistor. This is a 6.5 4-0 3.5 disc. I've used it before, you've seen it before. We've got the Defy from Axiom. This is a 11 5 -1-3 disc. We've got the Destroyer. This is a Halo Destroyer, Calvin Heimberg model, 12 5 -1-3. And we've got the Firebird 9304. This is a flat top Firebird. So let's see what we get. Let's get into the throws. All right, so for today's throws, I selected a hole that was a 272-foot basket in a pretty open field where I could throw both forehands and backhands and have a clear view of the disc for these tests. So let's get into the throws. First disc, we're doing backhand with the Innova Destroyer. We get a nice degree of fade. I didn't quite throw that as far to the right as intended. Next, the Resistor, and that disc had a nice degree of fade as well. I find that backhand, these do tend to fade quite well. Followed by the Firebird. Threw that one more closely to where I wanted to, left to right, and very close to the basket. Followed by the Defy. That one threw a little bit more left than intended. It faded pretty hard as it was up in the air. As you can see at the end, my closest to the basket was Firebird and Resistor. The Defy and the Destroyer were quite far away. Resistor and Firebird were about the same distance, so I've ranked them both number 1 for this first hole. Okay, next hole. Started out with the Defy, another backhand throw. Pretty nice distance on this one, and pretty hard fade, as expected. Followed by the Innova Destroyer. That one I got a little bit better right to left on, ended up right under the basket. Just great shot there. Next up, the Resistor. This one I kind of slipped a little bit there. We ended up a little farther away from the basket. The Firebird, lastly, this one faded right in, almost aced it. Oh, that was kind of an exciting one, right? But so Firebird has the win even though we don't see it right by the basket in this downrange shot. We've got Destroyer, we've got Firebird right there, then we have Defy, and the Resistor was farther away to the right. Okay, let's get into the forehand throws now. Next throw, we had the Resistor forehand, really nice release, and we ended up pretty far to the right of the basket. I didn't put that one as left as I'd like. Next, the Firebird, put that a lot more to the left. Glide down right under the basket. Just a nice throw there. Good accuracy. Destroyer, threw that one farther to the left than intended, and we ended still pretty close to the basket. Not too bad. And then we had the Defy. Threw that one quite a ways further to the right than intended, and we ended up pretty far right of the basket. Not a great throw. So you can see our Firebird and Destroyer right by the basket, followed by our Resistor and our Defy both way over. It took me a second to walk there to the right of the basket. So we're giving Firebird and Destroyer both rank 1 on this one. Okay, final forehand throw. We go with the Firebird first. Decent throw, ended up a little bit further right than intended. Not bad though. Destroyer, that one just really level, ended up pretty far to the left of the basket. Didn't really get a good direction on it. The Defy, this one really sailed out there, ended up about 300 feet back behind the basket. The Resistor, in this case, really nice direction, right parked under the basket. That was an awesome throw. I was definitely way happy with that one. So now what we're looking at is Destroyer and Defy are both quite far away from the basket. And then we've got Resistor sitting right next to it right there. And our Firebird not too far away either. So really happy with how those throws went. Okay, now for the fun part, throwing these over the hill in my backyard. Start with the Firebird. A little bit of a low throw, but really awesome fade. Really nice direction. I was aiming kind of straight out the direction that went. Defy, same thing. Direction perfect where I was aiming. That one landed way out there. Little farther out than the Firebird. Destroyer, this one a little harder fade and a little more air, but still ended up right by the Firebird. Then we got the Resistor. This one I threw a little further right than intended, but we ended up a little closer to the middle of the field, and not a bad throw. So here's the distances. We got 362 on the Defy, 326 Resistor, Destroyer 320, and Firebird 318. I'm kind of showing the Resistor there. Now the Defy, further down range, further to the right, and then we've got our Destroyer and Firebird about in the same spot right there. So 320, 318, when you give them a ton of air below them, that's what we were getting. So as we just watched playback, the throws at the course, we got 2 throws backhand, 2 throws forehand, then we got 1 throw each over the hill. Okay, so for accuracy, we had the Firebird either win or tie 3 out of 4 times. We had the Resistor either win or tie 2 out of 4 times. We had the Destroyer win or tie 1 out of the 4 times. And the Defy, we did not have win on accuracy. We did see it fly farther than the other discs. The distance-wise, though, so we went between 318 feet and 362 with Defy, followed by Resistor, and then Destroyer, Firebird. I'm going to call them about the same distance. So some pretty decent overlap with the Destroyer and Firebird. I did find the Destroyer to fade almost instantly when leaving my hand, which isn't exactly what I'm going for here. I want it to have a little more distance potential. Now, I need to talk a little bit about off-camera throws that I've done with these discs as well. I did throw a couple more times over the hill with the Resistor and the Firebirds. I felt like those were the two this was narrowing down between. I got the Firebird to go 350 over the hill. It faded way hard. You know, I did this twice, ended up farther to the left with a backhand throw than any of the other discs. Resistor, I got to go actually out to 360, which was interesting. 350, 360. Actually went a little farther than the Firebird, but did not fade as hard off to the left. So for that reason, I feel like the Firebird is the way to go here. I feel like the Resistor starts to act a little more like my mid-ranges. I can actually throw the Pyro way over the hill, about 360. It's a little straighter than the Resistor, but not much. And that Firebird just fades hard way over there, ends up at a good distance away. And I feel like it's going to be that reliable high degree of curvature out at distance. And then if I want less curvature out at that distance, maybe I'll throw the mid-range, or, you know, obviously if the distance is closer, I'll be throwing that mid-range. So I feel like it makes the most sense for the way my minimal bag is set up right now. So that's the winner. Obviously, the Firebird, I have said in other videos, was already in that slot. I never tested it to make sure that I agreed with that according to my tests. And so really happy with what this thing can do. It was really exciting to nearly ace with it on that backhand throw at the course. And yeah, you know, when you have good throws like that, high degrees of accuracy, it's just hard not to love that disc. So way excited about this. Next video, I'm going to finally show you where all the slots ended up, and we're going to do some just talk and play at the course. And I think it's going to be a fun video, and we'll go a little bit more into that minimal bag philosophy, just to make sure you understand where I sit with it, because I feel like it's slowly evolving over time. Really enjoyed doing these tests, and they will not be the last tests I do. So thanks for watching. If you have recommended overstable drivers, please send me the recommendations. I always love considering other discs. But again, appreciate your feedback on all these videos and your suggestions, and thank you for watching. We're going to be sharing one more test video about my overstable driver slot. And Leo, what? Leo, no. Good boy, okay. Thanks for your help, Leo. Okay. Good boy, once again. How many times are you gonna do that?